So why don't you use the label of a Christian anymore?
Yeah, I started doing, I felt compelled by love to begin to express that love, what I was experiencing within, to people that were outside of Christianity. And of course, I grew up within Christianity. From the time I was 3, God was encountering me. I grew up in church my entire life. I went to charismatic Pentecostal churches, and I was sold out. I was on fire for God, and was really excited about Him and about the Bible and so many other things. And I think that can be a real wonderful place to encounter God, to encounter self, and discover who you really are. But what happened was I was actually I was doing the Love Never Fails tour, and I was at a pagan festival, and I was talking to a pagan. There was zero agenda. It was just about expressing love to people that I realized were included in what Christ had accomplished. And so I'm talking to this one pagan, and she begins to look at me, and she says, "Wow, you have such a healing aura about you." And she goes, "Who's your mediator? Like, who's your?" And I was like, "Well, Christ is. Jesus Christ is." And she said, "You're a Christian." And I said, "Well," and at that point, I had enough wisdom to know that not to just answer the question immediately. I was still very identified as a Christian, but I said to her, "Well, I guess that depends upon what your version of a Christian is." Because there are so many different versions of Christianity. And I think it's a mistake to identify Christ with Christianity and Christianity with Christ. At that point in my journey, I realized that for her, she began to tell me what her idea of a Christian was, that I didn't fit into any of those categories. And so I left that pagan festival that day going, man, is the label, just hanging on to this label of Christian, if it's hindering me from reaching one person to realize their divine essence, if it's keeping me from imprisoning me, restricting me in any way, shape, or form from being able to really reach someone and help them move beyond their misery and into a place of ecstasy, then it just wasn't worth hanging on to the label. And so I started shedding that label of Christianity, of course, along with shedding the label of Christianity. Christians, people that identify in that label, were not happy. And so they, pretty much got kicked out of Christendom, so to speak, and over the last many years have not identified as a Christian. Christ came to reveal who we've always been, that is the divine essence. He did not come so that we could get to heaven, or so that we could meet the Father, or so that He could reveal a God who is outside of us. He came to reveal our union and our oneness. And Christianity is a religious sect built around the idea of who Jesus Christ is. Not who Jesus Christ is, but around the thought or the idea, the concept of who Jesus Christ is. This is the reason why they need a holy book, and this is the reason why they go back to Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John to define who Jesus Christ is. They are continually wanting to look at the passages of Scripture that were thousands of years ago, instead of realizing, living, walking as He is now. The greatest disciple of Jesus was not one of the 12 disciples. The greatest disciple of Jesus is the one who is as He is. And so Christianity does not represent Christ. Christ does not represent Christianity. Christ is in all of us, within all of us. And we have the beautiful opportunity to be able to experience that life and enjoy Him free from any religious concept, free from any religious restraint. It doesn't matter what that restraint or concept is. We're free from it all to really just be as Christ is.